Morning. It is Wednesday, March 23rd. I remember things. We are in Easter week, so Holy Week, for those of you that celebrate Easter. I celebrate Ostara. We just celebrated on Sunday, and that is the coming of spring. But today we're expecting tons of snow to fall on our happy little abode. So I'm going to talk about tea, because tea is nice when it's cold and snowy outside, even when it is spring. So I have a wide variety of teas in this shop. Something like 80 of them. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. Look at all the teas. Some of them are my own personal blends, and some of them are blends or single teas that I buy. I have a lot of people who come into the shop and say, I don't like tea. And my answer to that is, you just don't know tea. Because tea is kind of a misnomer for a lot of different things. Tea, purely and simply, is a drink made from tea leaves, which come from the tea bush. There are different types of tea bushes where they get black and green and white types of teas from in different stages of growth and different breeds of plant. But tea is used often to describe so many different hot drinks that actually aren't tea. So I thought I'd do kind of a quick crash course on this is tea, this is not tea, here's what you do. Okay? So, this is tea. This is black tea. Black tea is the strongest of all the teas. On the scale of caffeine, if you figure a cup of coffee, a basic cup of coffee, is worth, I got a cheat sheet on the wall. Basic cup of coffee is worth 160 milligrams of caffeine per serving, so a serving of coffee is 6 to 8 ounces. Black tea, typically, like your standard run-of-the-mill tea, is 42 compared to your 163, okay? So it's significantly less. Black tea is usually like a dried and fermented leaf. You can kind of see that a little bit. Matt's helping me out today again. Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
So that's black tea. Black tea comes in lots of different types. It can come as caffeinated, non-caffeinated, or decaffeinated. If it's decaffeinated, there is a process that has been used, and I'm not sure entirely of how that process works, but there's a process that's been used to remove a level of caffeine from the tea. It is not purely without caffeine, it is just with less caffeine. So a decaffeinated tea has about 5 milligrams of caffeine per serving. Black teas can include Chinese black, Indian black, Ceylon, which is a no caffeine black tea, Assam, Oolong. Oh, what's some other good ones? A lot of your flavored teas like Earl Grey, Irish breakfast, English breakfast, the Lapsang Souchong, all of those are black teas that have been in some way flavored. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes they're flavored with essential oils, sometimes they're flavored with flowers or other kinds of things. Green tea comes from a different plant. The aging process it varies between the types of greens. This particular green tea is what's known as a gunpowder green, so it comes in kind of like little pearls. A green tea is lighter. Now green tea's caffeine level is 16 milligrams of caffeine per serving. So it's significantly less even than black tea. Green tea is typically known for a little more of a smoother flavor, a lighter flavor. The tea is more of an amber color rather than the brown color that we're accustomed to with black teas. You'll find all kinds of green teas, specifically in Chinese restaurants.
Smells good.
Yeah, it smells really good. Favorite green tea is actually a green tea blend that is called Genmaicha. And Genmaicha is a blending of sencha leaf, which is the green leafy tea, and toasted rice. So this is a very mild taste. The story behind Genmaicha tea is it is the tea of the Chinese commoners, the workers. They use sencha or bancha leaf tea as their base, but they cut it with this toasted rice because they can't afford to just brew the tea alone. So they cut it with the rice, and then the rice also gives them additional flavor and nutrients. So it goes a little bit further nutritionally as well as going a little bit further structurally. But this is my favorite. And there's a few restaurants I've been to that'll serve this as their house tea. And those are some of my favorite Chinese restaurants, Asian restaurants. So that's Genmai. You'll also run into, like I said, sencha and bancha. Sorry, I'm all conflustered this morning. What else is a good green? Dragonwell. Dragonwell is a high imperial green tea. In China, from what I understand, China has 5 grades of green tea, and Dragonwell is of that top grade. It's an imperial grade. Let's see what else is green. I think that's about it for what I have in my shop. But you know, there are other kinds out there. Yeah, I think that's it. The third kind of tea that's actually a tea is white tea. And white tea is plucked at a younger age, so it hasn't had a whole lot of time to age and ferment. And white tea generally, when you're getting it loose, comes as twigs and leaves. So you can kind of see that. White tea comes in at 8 milligrams of caffeine per serving. So this is half of what green is. White tea is a very, very mild tea. Very pale tea when it's brewed. It blends very well with other things and doesn't overwhelm the taste. I don't drink a lot of white tea. I like a little more in my tea. I'm just that kind of girl. That's going to translate well to the whole internet world. So that's it for tea, okay? Now everything else that's brewed, that's like an herbal blend, those are known as either herbal blends or tisanes, T-I-S-A-N-E. One of the most popular ones is what they call red tea or rooibos. Rooibos I've heard as well. And this comes from a bush. It's called the rooibos bush. So it's not a tea, it's another type of plant. And what I like about rooibos is it's just got this beautiful, almost amber scent to it. It's a beautiful red tea. I always tell people who haven't had any experience with it, it smells like Grandpa's smoking tobacco. It's just got that really wonderful smell before Grandpa shoves it in the pipe and then smokes it. But it blends really nicely with cinnamons and cloves and warm flavors. It's actually one of my favorite herbal drinks in the whole world. People are very familiar with chamomile. They call it chamomile tea. It's not actually a tea. It is a tisane. And you can kind of see in this jar without me making a big mess. Those are all chamomile flowers. That's all that's usually in a chamomile tea when they call it that. Okay. And then, like I said, anything else is considered an herbal blend. Like this is an herbal blend that's one of mine. This one's called Higher Self. And Higher Self, yeah, this one, Matt's giving it a thumbs up. This is a very popular tea. This is one that I designed to be used with crown chakra work. A variety of plants and herbs and a tea in there. So, I mean, this could technically be considered a tea because there is a tea base. I think it's a green tea, jasmine tea base. Okay. Jasmine is a green, I believe. I don't think it's a black. I think it's a green. So that's types of tea. Rooibos has no caffeine, by the way. It's not a tea, remember? So, okay, we want to have some tea. What do we do about that? Most people rush out and get tea bags, and there's nothing wrong with tea bags, but you may not get the full flavor. Your product inside of the bags may be stale. You can't see what you're getting. I'm more of a fan of loose leaf myself. There's a few ways you can do that. You can do loose leaf in little mesh containers, like this little guy. You just put a teaspoon of loose leaf in there, close her up, put her in your cup, and pour your water over the top, okay? Let it steep. When you're steeping, let things steep. If they're leafy, let things steep for about 3 to 5 minutes. If they're woody or rooty, then let them steep for about 5 to 7 minutes or longer, maybe, depending on what you're drinking your particular blend for. The other thing you could do is you can get like teapots, and there's even these special cups now. This is a strainer, so you would put your tea right in here, put it in your cup, pour your water in. You want to bring your water just to a boil. You don't want to actually boil your water. And then you want to put a cap over the top. Okay, and the reason you put a cap over the top when you're steeping your tea, whether you're doing it loose or tea bag, when you steep tea and there's steam coming up off of the water, oils from the tea, whatever's left in your tea or your herbs that you're drinking, those oils get released by that heat and they get released into the steam. And when you leave that lid off, where does that steam go? Not here. When you leave that lid on, that helps to hold those oils in so that when you go to drink it later, then you get some of those oils into your system, which is the whole purpose for drinking it in the first place, right? Especially with your herbal blends. So if you have some form of a contraption that's got a lid, use the lid. Otherwise, use your saucer. What I like about these little cups, I just think it's just such a slick little system there. So to recap, black tea, green tea, and white tea are teas. Everything else is herbal. It's either an herbal blend or a tisane. Black tea has the highest amount of caffeine of the three. Again, it is at, help me out here, who remembers? Not me. 42. Green is at 16. White is at 8. Okay. Steep teas from 3 to 5 minutes with just almost to boiling water. Cover it. Steep herbals or roots at about 5 to 7 minutes. So, tea 101. Come in and tell me you don't like tea. I will make you a lover of teas. I promise. I will find something that tickles your fancy. Even if you don't like hot tea, we'll find you something that'll work really well cold. Okay, so that being said, okay, my update for the week. I'm at 22 hours for the year. My charity for the week, I'm going to do some animal charities for the next week. But I wanted to get this one out here because I've been seeing some press on these guys lately. I've known about them for a little bit, and I like what they do. This is BACA. This is Bikers Against Child Abuse. This is an international organization. The United States has several chapters. And these are groups of motorcycle enthusiasts who either belong to other clubs or organizations or not, that all band together for the common good of children who are in abusive situations. These guys, I say guys loosely, there are women too, these guys will come and support the families that are housing the child that needs protection. They will come and support the child in court because frequently when these children go to court, all of their friends and family have been taken and subpoenaed, so these children don't have the support of their friends and family in court, and it's very frightening for all of us to have to go to court alone. But can you imagine being a child and going to court alone? These guys will go to court with the kid so that the kid knows that there's somebody out there who loves them, cares for them, and will protect them. These guys will stand guard in front of houses and make sure that nobody comes to hurt the child. They welcome the child into their particular little club as though that child is one of them. And that child does become one of them. The children usually get like a vest or a patch or a jacket of their own that says that they're under the protection of. You know, they've got their road name and everything on it. These guys are really great guys. They do some amazing work. And they use societal stereotypes to their advantage. They're big, burly dudes that a lot of people are intimidated by, that know that people are intimidated by them, and use that to help protect a child. So, you know, mad props to these guys. I love it. Anytime somebody's going to stand up and protect children and animals, I'm all for it. Do it. So you can find these guys at BACAworld.org, BACAWORLD.org. I hope you guys all have good weather over the next few days. Those of us who are in the path of this lovely spring snowstorm, I hope we don't get snowed in. Be careful. Have a wonderful Easter for those of you who are celebrating it. God bless. And I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Bye.